All right. And so y'all know if you hear something today and you wonder what that was, this recording will be available on our website, so you don't have to scramble and take all kinds of notes. It will be available for you to look back on. Again, I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day to meet with us here. Today we have Matt Johnson from SFREP or SFREP. I've heard it said both ways. I always say SFREP. Someone said, "Don't you mean SFREP?" But I guess, yeah, I guess. Is there an official one, Matt? Is there an official way it's supposed to be said?
Yeah, you got it right. It's SFREP.
Okay.
But even people in our own company try to pronounce it, and I'm like, well, no, it's not pronounceable.
Okay.
It stands for Software for Real Estate Professionals, which is our official name.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, so Matt here, he's our presenter. He's no stranger to the world of appraisal software. Matt's in his 19th year with SFREP. Started out in technical support, but he's SFREP's director of communication, where he runs marketing, live webinars, training, promotional videos. In other words, if you ever seen or heard anything about SFREP, Matt's probably had a hand in that. He's a graduate of Western Carolina University with a degree in mass communication, which explains why he can make tech talk sound interesting. It's a rare gift in our industry. Outside of work, Matt and his wife, Bethany, live in Charlotte, North Carolina, which I guess is where the Savannah Bananas are from, along with their dog Penny. He's an aviation enthusiast, a photographer, and a rabid Charlotte FC soccer fan.
Oh yeah.
So if you hear cheering in the background today, it's either the crowd at Bank of America Stadium or Matt's team at SFREP is seeing UAD 3.6 fields line up correctly. Could it
Yeah.
be any of those, right? So anyway, please join me in welcoming Matt to the webinar. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Um, so look, there's a few questions I thought I'd start out with here,
Sure.
and if you were to describe UAD 3.6 in one word from the appraiser's perspective, what would that be?
Ooh, I think a small speed bump for appraisers. I think appraisers are very uh they're very stressed out about it. They have a lot of anxiety about it. But most of us, not all of us, but most of us went through the first UAD transition back in 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. And I think this is going to be way easier than that was. It looks daunting, but really, you're still going out to a property and gathering information. You're gathering a little bit more information about it, but you're still going out to a property, gathering information, whether that be on a clipboard or in an app. Uh, Preferably an app that's going to make things a lot easier. And then you're going back to your office and filling out a report. And it really depends on which software you're going to be using. I'm of course biased towards Appraisal Pro because that's our product. But some software vendors have chosen to do more of a, kind of uh, like a TurboTax approach to it,
Hmm.
where it's very different from what you guys are doing today. We decided to take a different track on that, which is to do more of a WYSIWYG format. What you see is what you get, where you're
Hmm.
actually filling out the form. So I think it while it depends on which software you're going to be using, on how much of a disruption to your flow it's going to be, at the end of the day, in January of 2027, I think we're all going to kind of just be, living our work lives and filling out reports like we always have. So,
Yeah, and David, say I see your hand. We're not going to be taking live questions, but we will be. So if you can put your question in the Q&A or in the chat, we'll definitely get to that. We're going to kind of wrap those up at the end. So I asked that same question, in one word, from the appraiser's perspective. if we could describe UAD 3.6, what would it be? And I asked that to a room full of appraisers, right?
Hmm.
And the overwhelming, well, I kind of got started, and a lot of people agreed. Someone said retirement, and a lot of them were like, yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, I, I've been in this business a really long time. August of 1990s when I started as an appraiser, did 20 years in the field, last 15 or so here, working for different AMCs and a lender as their chief appraiser. I think appraisers are really good at change. I don't think anybody likes change, and that's everywhere, right? But I think as an industry, we've done really well. It's been nothing but change since I started in this business in 1990. And I've heard a lot of appraisers throughout the years saying, this is it for me. I'm done. I'm not going to do it. And we've always been able to move on, get through, and from a lot of perspective, done a lot better. I am in that camp with this. Um, Although it's still yet to be seen, right? We've got to go through it. But I honestly do think that we're going to end up on the other side, past the learning curve, right? And everything else that goes into it. I think it's going to be it's going to be a good thing. So,
Agreed.
um, yeah, yeah. So you already kind of mentioned speed bump. I mean, kind of rolling into that. I mean, do you think this, from your perspective, I mean, do you think it's really just a speed bump, or do you think it'll be like a springboard? Does this going to actually, make things a little better and easier for appraisers ultimately?
I think ultimately it's going to make things easier for new appraisers coming in who are, starting out and learning because UAD 2.6, which I remember sitting in Freddie Mac headquarters in 2010, I think it was, and all of us appraisal software vendors don't agree on a lot with each other, but one of the things we universally agreed with was the way they were going to do the UAD 2.6 was not the way to go. We really wanted them to do this at that time, but they decided they didn't want to change forms. I think these new forms, because new appraisers coming in aren't going to have to learn these cryptic abbreviations and the stuff that you guys have already memorized by this point. That's going to be easier, and I really think it's going to be easier for the end user, the lender, or excuse me, the buyer or the seller.
Hmm.
I recently sold a house up in the mountains of North Carolina, moved back here to Charlotte, bought a new house, generated two appraisals at that point. My wife looked at them, thumbed through it, and was like, "What the heck is this? I like what are these? What are these letters and numbers? And what's a C2? I don't understand any of this." I'm like, "Well, there's an addendum at the back. It'll explain what it is." And she's like, "I don't want to look at." She just threw her hands up. These new reports are going to be so much easier for a layman to be able to understand. And at the end of the day, for the buyer and the seller, that's going to be power in their hands for them to be able to understand what this appraisal means, and be able to say, "Oh, this is how you evaluate a house," not going on Zillow and looking up a property and seeing what they think it's worth. So,
Yeah, yeah, and I think I can't remember exactly who it was, but sorry, my getting a package delivered, so my dog, if you hear him in the background, that's what's happening. She thinks that, you know, the UPS, she owns them, like, because she barks and they leave, and so she thinks she's going
my
to.
little penny's around here somewhere. She might make an appearance
Okay.
here in a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, but from the I think it was someone at one of the agencies said they actually had a company do polling with people who are not in the industry, right? That are not familiar with appraisal, and they showed them both the old reports and the new report, and overwhelmingly, and this is what they do for like a living,
Mhm.
they said that the new report is better than the old one, right? That it's
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
much easier for them to read and understand. So yeah, no, I think for the public, which is really, public trust is one of the things that we're interested in. So that certainly would be something that's good in that camp. So I'm going to turn things over to you and certain hit it any way you want to, or start wherever you want. But whenever you kind of going through, one of the things I'm interested in, I mean, what are you most excited about in your offering at SFREP in this whole transition, and what you think will also excite appraisers the most? So just whenever you get to that piece, if you can highlight it, that'd be great.
Sure. And I'll give you a hint right now. It's not what I thought it was. Because I've had multiple uh prospective customers and customers say that what they really love about our software is with the UAD 3.6 is how we're doing comps, how we're showing comps. So I'll go over that here in a little bit. But thank you. I really appreciate it. And it's great to be here today. And we're going to kind of burn through this and have a little bit of fun, and I'll show you what we've got here. I did want to go a little bit, I don't want to do a big presentation, but I did want to kind of go through a couple of things with you, a couple of slides that I have here. The first thing is to tell you guys, and hopefully everybody can see my screen, is to tell you guys who we are. A lot of people, um, you get in with your software provider and that's all you know for 15, 20 years. But we've been doing this for a very long time. We were founded in 1983 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. As I said earlier, the full name, Software for Real Estate Professionals, and we pioneered DOS-based real estate appraisal software. In the early 90s, one of our co-founders vacationed up in the mountains of Western North Carolina, loved it so much. Actually, they ended up breaking their leg. So they had to stay in the hospital for a while, ended up loving the mountains and ended up staying there. So they moved the technical operations of the company up there, and we kind of split between a little town called Silva, North Carolina, up in the mountains, kind of in the Asheville area, and then Baton Rouge. And then, of course, COVID came and that changed everything. We closed all of our offices. We went complete work from home, which is where I am right now. And started to kind of scatter around. I left the mountains, had to come back as a lot of people do. I had to take care of my family. My parents are getting older. So I ended up here in Charlotte, but even today, the bulk of our operations are in Western North Carolina and the upstate of South Carolina, almost to a point where we're not really much in Louisiana anymore. And we're probably going to reincorporate North Carolina for health insurance reasons, because that's definitely a big expense for most companies.
Hmm.
But we're kind of clustered around the southwestern corner of North Carolina, and that's where we do all of our technical operations, all of our programming, all of our tech support, all of our sales. Everything with our company is done right here in the United States. It's done in North and South Carolina, predominantly, a little bit in Louisiana, but we don't farm out anything overseas. Everything with our company is done here in the United States. So back in 2019, one of the things we did was we rewrote our software from the ground up, not really knowing this was coming. And we finished it up right before COVID. And sorry, my laundry is done, so maybe you may have heard that. But we finished right before the pandemic, and we completely overhauled our product. All new code, no code was redone. We called it Appraise It Pro, and then we renamed our old software Appraise It Classic. And it has a what you see is what you get interface, just like all the other software you've been doing. If you're using ClickForms, if you're using a la mode, it's what you've been doing for decades. What you see is what you get. You're filling out a graphical representation of the form itself. And this, because we rewrote our software in the Microsoft development environment, it's the same one that they use for programming Microsoft Office. That's why it looks a lot like Microsoft Office. So if you've used Office in the past, you're going to be feeling very comfortable in Appraise It Pro. And that's also allowed us to take this new UAD 3.6 dynamic form concept and present it in a kind of unique way. A lot of other software vendors really had to reinvent the wheel because their current appraisal software was based on old development environments, old technology. And so they weren't able to accommodate the new dynamic URAR. So what they had to do was some of them went mobile, or excuse me, some went web-based, and they had to develop an entire new product. And that takes a while and it slows you down. And that's one of the reasons why, and I love to say this to everyone, we are further ahead than any other software provider. We are going to be the first to come to market and be able to allow a user of ours to complete a UAD 3.6 report and deliver it. Because in case you didn't know, there are no software providers right now. We're past this date that is listed over here, September 8th. That was Monday or last Monday.
Yeah.
We're past that date now. None of the software providers, including us, have the software out there for you to be able to complete a UAD 3.6 report and deliver it. However, we are just about finished with our certification process with Fannie and Freddie. And once that's completed later this month, maybe it'll slip to the beginning of October, but we will be releasing what we're going to be calling our public beta, where you will actually be able to complete a UAD 3.6 report and deliver it. So let's look at the timeline real quick before we go launching into looking at our software. You guys have seen this, I'm sure, ad nauseum. This is where we are right now. We're in the limited production phase. It started on September 8th. However, nobody can actually do UAD 3.6 reports yet, and so they're not asking for them yet, but that is coming. Now, that's going to last until January. So as we get into November, December, January, you're going to start seeing more and more software providers, a la Mode, Bradford, are going to be able to start doing reports, delivering them, and you're going to start seeing them be requested by the AMCs and the lenders. Then we're going to get into broad production between January and November of next year. This is where you're going to start out at some point in there, you're going to start having a 50-50 split of about 50% of these reports are going to be UAD 3.6. About half of them are going to be the older UAD 2.6. And as you start creeping towards Halloween of next year, it is going to become way more 3.6 heavy. That is because on November 2nd, we get the mandate date. The mandate date is go time. That is when they stop issuing UAD 2.6 reports that you're familiar with right now, and we go all UAD 3.6. And then there's this other date that a lot of people aren't very familiar with. It doesn't get talked about a lot, and that is the retirement date, which is May 3rd, 2027. All that is that's the drop dead date when everything that was in the pipeline, getting reviewed, getting changes made, things like that, updates, all of that should be out of the pipeline, and we will then be living in a UAD 3.6 world. So a lot of you know this from your CE, but I encourage you to do your CE. I've been in some great classes. I just did one with McKissick, and I did some CE stuff at ACS this year in San Antonio, and I know I'm doing some at Appraisal Summit in Las Vegas coming up in about 2 weeks. But most of you have probably done CE already. You know this. We're replacing all of the different Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac forms with one form to rule it all. So the 1004 goes away, the 1073, the 1075, it all just becomes one form or one report. They don't like you to use the word form. Now, they left the software user interface, the GSEs, they left the software user interface up to us, up to ACI, up to Alamode, up to Bradford, up to us, and some of the Freedom Appraisers, some other smaller players in there, some newcomers. And they completely left it up to us. What we decided to do is what you see here. This is a printout of what they say a printed version of the report should look like. Now, they had to create it from scratch using, I don't know, some type of software. And then we have to match this exactly. And when I say we have to match it exactly, one of the things we're going through over and over again with the GSEs is like, they need this line 1 pixel up. They need this thing to be slightly larger. They need this number to be justified. They're very picky, and they want every single report, whether it's made in ACI, whether it's made in Bradford, or whether it's made in Appraiser Pro, to look exactly the same. So this is going to be a new paradigm. You guys are used to filling out a UAD 2.6 report. You see right here in Appraiser Pro, that is a UAD 2.6. That's the grid there. Basically, these are the forms that they came out with in 2005. And they, changed them around a little bit with these abbreviations that you see here so they can cram more data into an existing form. But it's not a stretch for you to say you could print out a blank 1004 report and then feed it into a typewriter and fill it out. Like, you could do that. It'd be very painful, but you could do that. You cannot do that with the new UAD because it's a dynamic report. So a lot of people are contacting me. They're like, hey, can you give me a blank version just so I can play around with it and look at it? No, I can't, because it's going to look different every time depending on circumstances. So we decided to go with having you interact directly with a digital version of a visual version of the printed version of the report, because a UAD 3.6 container file is going to have two big things in it. It's going to have an XML file for a computer to read, and it's going to have a PDF file for humans to read. There's also some other stuff in there, but it's mostly images and things like that. So you're a human. We want you to fill out what you would be seeing, what you would be looking at. And that's what you've been doing for decades. And we want to continue that same paradigm. So here you see ACI. I love ACI. The people at ACI are amazing. I am friends with them. We're all friends, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but I'm very familiar with Joel. We're friends. I'm friends with Jeff Bradford. I'm friends with the ladies over at ACI. We all get along famously together. We will steal each other's customers in a heartbeat, but we are very friendly with each other. But this is what they decided to go with. They decided to go with a more and I know they've done a one of these presentations with NAN already. They decided to go with a web-based kind of a wizard interface. You fill out some information, you click next, fill out some more information. And while with ACI, you can click on a preview and you can see where you are in the report, and it takes a couple of minutes to do that, but you can see what it's going to look like. You don't really see the report until you get to the end. And that's not what we chose to do. Now, because of this new paradigm, the way you're going to be interacting with your software is possibly going to change a lot. And you're going to be making a break eventually between the UAD 2.6 and the UAD 3.6. My friend Joel over at Alamode, he loves to say that there's only about a 6% overlap between UAD 2.6 and UAD 3.6, and he's 100% right. So you're not really going to be able to use those decades of reports. You're not going to be able to import those into the UAD 3.6 in any of the software. So there's going to be a break between your old stuff and you're going to be starting kind of anew with these UAD 3.6 reports. So now is a perfect time for you to go out and look at what Bradford's doing, look what ACI is doing, look what Alamode is doing, look what Freedom Appraise is doing. See what everybody's doing. See if they'll let you play around with their software, because we will, and I'll go over that here later. And see if what is going to be best for you. It may not be us. It may be Bradford. It may be ACI. And that's who you should move to, because now's the time to be able to move. So I'm going to give you my information directly. I don't know how many other software providers will do this, but I am more than willing to. I will tell you, this is my direct office line. If you try to call me, a lot of times I'm busy. I may not answer. However, I love to text. We have a fancy voice over IP system that allows me to text on my office number. So I encourage you to do so, 828-919-9082. And you can also feel free to email me at any time, matt@sfrep.com. And I think I said I'm getting over a cold. So if my voice cracks, please forgive me. So let's take a look at Appraise It Pro itself. That's what this is right here. You're seeing it on my screen. This is our software. This is actually because we're now past the September 8th deadline or start of limited production. This is what we call a public preview. And the reason we're calling it a public preview and not a beta is because while we have the software to a point where you could do an appraisal in UAD 3.6 and then deliver it, we've finished our work. The GSEs haven't. And I don't want to call out the GSEs too much. But we're the first to get to the point that we're at, which is we're doing the certification process. Nobody else has gotten that far yet. So we're in this situation where we're finding a lot of bugs on their end, and they're having to fix it. And we're also finding they're getting their footing on how they're going to do this process with the other software vendors. So we're kind of the guinea pig for them. But once we're done, we are going to release an update to this software that will essentially be what you see here with some quality of life improvements thrown in that I'll go over here in a minute. And it will be able to generate those MISMO XML 3.6 container files, which is basically a zip file with, like I said, a PDF and XML, some JPEG images in there. So the first thing I want to show you is when you start Appraise It Pro, you are in this, well, actually, you'll be here. You'll be in this welcome screen. This is where we can kind of communicate with you. We don't put flashy images or videos in here. It's just some text stuff that we can get the word out about certain things. So what I'm going to do is we're going to come over here to new. Now, if I come over here to new and you have the public preview, then you will have both a section for UAD 3.6 and a section for UAD 2.6. So if I come in here and I double click on the UAD 2.6 1004, there it is. You can use the same software to do both the older UAD 2.6 and the UAD 3.6. If you are an ACI or Bradford customer, you have to go back to your old software. So you're going to be juggling two different software packages to do that. I don't mention a la mode as much because a la mode is doing what we're doing. So we're they're not as far along as we are, but they're doing the same concept that we're doing. So let me go back over there. I'm going to close out of that. You'll notice this does look a This even has an area called the backstage, is what Microsoft calls it. I think it's a bunch of theater kids at Microsoft, so they use these theater analogies, but they call this the backstage, and then this editing area, that's the front stage. So back at the backstage, when I go to new, if I want to start a UAD 3.6, then all I need to do, there are most of you probably know this by now, but there are three different report types with the UAD 3.6. There's the completion, there's the update, and then there's the URAR. And I'm going to open up the URAR here. And this is it. This is it actually working in software. So with Appraisal Pro, you have panels. We have 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, report, validator, responses, and format. The format panel right now in UAD 3.6 is just going to show you a color key because it's mainly meant to be kind of our UAD panel, but for helping you fill out these abbreviations, but that's no longer needed. So this may go away, not sure yet. But the report panel, this is your table of contents. In the older UAD, in Appraisal Pro, you can move all of these pages around by just clicking and dragging, and you can kind of formulate the report in your image and the way you want it. Can't do that with UAD 3.6. They have set the actual order. So this is all set. They want to make sure that the site feature always comes before the features section always comes before sketch, always comes before dwellings. All of it will be in the same order every single time. There are sections in here. Remember, this is a dynamic report that don't exist right now in the report itself, but they still show up here. And I'm going to show you, if you come over here to go to cost approach, this is my cost approach. There's not a cost approach in here right now. So what does it do? It just says, hey, cost approach, yes or no? No. Okay, we're done. If I check yes, the cost approach now shows up and everything fills in and I can start filling it out, or I can say no again and it all disappears. So the area that I really like to kind of show you that the way that it morphs is in the sales contract section. Is there a sales contract? No. All right, we're done. There's nothing to show you here. As soon as I hit yes, as soon as I start checking yes on these things, things start happening, things starts filling in. The UAD 3.6, if you've gone through your C, you probably know this, very heavy on pull down menus and checkboxes and date pickers. They love it. It's all over the place. So put in a contract price, we'll say $550,000. Contract date, and I could type that in if I want, but I can just use this date picker and pick a date. Transfer terms, I don't know, we'll say short sale. As I kind of keep filling things in here, total sales concessions, if I start typing into these fields, this is one thing I absolutely love about the new UAD. There's no more extended comment addendum. That stuff goes away. So these things can just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So a lot of people are saying, well, hey, how do I put in, I had somebody ask the other day, how am I going to put in verbiage that I have about septic systems and wells and their prevalence in this particular area? And I was like, oh, you just go to the site section and do that. And they were like, well, where do I put it? And I was like, well, you've got site features commentary. And they're like, well, this is just a tiny little text area. You can sit there and you can type paragraphs in there and it's just going to keep getting bigger. In the way that Appraisal Pro is showing it to you, it's going to look like it won't fit onto a page, and it won't, because when this gets converted into paper, it's just going to span multiple pages. But you could have tons of stuff. If I start typing in here, as soon as I'm going to get out to the edge here in just a second, it's just going to keep getting bigger. So people ask, is there a limit on the number of characters I can have in there? Yes, there is, but the GSEs have, in theory, set it so it's so high that you're not going to ever actually reach that limit in theory. The cool thing is the
Hmm.
way that they designed all of this, they can change things very easily. They can add, they can subtract things. So if they determine that this isn't enough space, they can just easily add it. They tell us, we change the spec, and we're all on it. We're all happy about it. Subject property will come over here. I can just simply type in things here. When I get to the city field, so we'll do this. This is where I grew up. If you guys want to look it up, I don't live there anymore. Um, Oops, get that right. There we go. It's hard to do with those, hard to type with this microphone in front of me. When I get to the city field, you'll see the responses tab or the responses panel over on the right hand side has responses here. Right now for city, I have these as single line, single word responses. To use it, I can just simply double click Charlotte and it'll put Charlotte in there. I can also, if it's
So
something
you
I use a
defined
lot,
those, correct?
yes,
Yeah.
right
Okay.
under here to manage responses. So I can come over here. I can give it a title if I want. I'm not doing that here because this is a single word response, but I can
Hmm.
have 16 paragraphs in here of response if I wanted to. And then that, of course, then you're going to want to give it a title so it doesn't, so you can actually, know what it was. The other thing that I can do, and I don't think any other software lets you do this, I can assign it an F key. And so we like to have Appraisal Pro be as much as possible something that you don't have to touch your mouse with. You can get really good at keyboard shortcuts, tabbing, that kind of stuff. And one of those is I've got Charlotte assigned to F4 here. I type F4 and it fills it out for me. I can also hit the F2 key and I can just select it from a drop down menu. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. In the old UAD and coming soon to this UAD, you'll also just be able to start typing CH and it'll just fill it in for you automatically. Like I said, that is working in the current UAD, but it's coming soon to this. And that's an important thing to go over here. We're going to be the first to be able to allow you to deliver a UAD 3.6 report, but it is going to be a bit of a bare bones affair. We are going to be adding quality of life things as we get through into Christmas, as we get through into the new year. We're going to be adding things in like this preview. The sketching programs don't work with it, but when we release it for beta testing later this month, they will be working with it. We're going to be adding in, I was going to say Spark integration data master, but I think Spark is actually they're getting rid of Spark and they're going to kind of meld it all into True Tracks or something. I'm not sure. They said something about that at the last show we were at. But those types of integrations, those are going to be coming soon. But things are here for you to be able to do a basic report. I can double click here and I can come over here to pictures and I can select house photos and we'll just double click and put a house photo in there and boom, there's my house photo. So I can put photos in here and I can put exhibits in. However, big asterisk on exhibits. Exhibits were the hardest thing for all of us software providers to do. Because this is a dynamic report and exhibits are kind of tied to the section of the report that you're doing,
Hmm.
you can put PDFs or you're going to be able to put PDFs into the report. But the GSEs don't want you putting 30, 50, 100 page PDFs into these reports. And on the under the hood, what we're doing is everything that goes into that container file that you deliver to your lender AMC has to be a JPEG image. So when you put a 7-page PDF into your report, Appraisal Pro is going to have to convert all those 7 pages into JPEGs. That's fine, but they're really good at compression of photos, but they're not great at compression of black text on white background.
Hmm.
So that can balloon the size of your report really quickly. So be conservative with how many multi-page PDFs you're putting in here, but you can attach images right now, but right now it will not let you browse in an actual PDF. We will have that probably by Halloween. That is one of the first things that is going to be on our list. But there are ways, and our tech support will show you how to do this. There are ways that you can go into Adobe Acrobat, Foxit Reader, whatever you're using for looking at your PDFs, capture an individual page, put it on your clipboard, and then you'll be able to paste it into Appraisal Pro. So I've done that here. So I can go ahead and drag this over, add it in, click on close, and now it says that there is one image in here for an exhibit. And if I select it, I'll be able to see it. Now, coming soon, probably around the first of the year, we're actually going to be showing you in line these images that are attached here. We're going to be the first to do that. So when it says one image now, it'll actually say it won't say that anymore. It'll actually show you a thumbnail of what's connected there. You'll be able to click on it and actually see what's attached there. Now you had asked me earlier, Bill, what the thing was that I was most proud of. And I think I didn't think it was going to be as big a deal as it is, but I have had multiple people tell me that the biggest deal for them was the way that comparables are handled in Appraise-It Pro. And actually, so I can show you this, I'm going to close out of here and I'm going to come over here to open, and I'm going to open up our single family residential scenario. This is actually the same scenario that is in the appendices from Fannie and Freddie. We just made it into a report here. So some of the data in here to you guys, your trained eyes, may look a little weird. That's just because mostly non-appraisers over at Fannie and Freddie came up with it. But it's just for testing purposes. So now if I come over here to the sales comparables, now this is a lot of screen drawing it has to do, so it takes it just a second. But this is what it looks like. You have, we're showing you everything in line and side by side. You can put additional comparables in here. You can just keep clicking add comparables to your heart's content, and all of your comparables will be visible by just scrolling left and right. You have your front view images and everything you filled out. We scroll down and you'll see everything that that has been collected about that particular address. Now because I know that Bradford's not doing this, but we are still doing the dynamic approach even to these comparables. So we're not showing you stuff that you're not going to need or that don't apply to this particular type of appraisal. So this is all going to be things that you need and want to fill out here. One of the things we're working on is doing a little bit of optimization right now. You'll notice as I kind of scroll down here, there's a lot of lines and stuff to draw on the screen, and it takes it just a second to fill in. But all of that will be optimized here, within the next few months. But the good news is that it works and it's very stable. That's one of our hallmarks, is our stability. Let's see. The validator panel, while you're doing a report, this is checking in the background for you. So a good way to see that at work is, and this is a very simplistic way, but if this is VA right now for Virginia, then that's fine, and it has no problem with that. But if I put in here NC, it's fine with that. But if I got fat fingers and I type in BC, well, that's a Canadian province. It's not a US state, so it turns it red. And then over here on the thing over here, I'm going to get a warning about the state for an error, and it's going to say your 2-letter character abbreviation is incorrect. So all I have to do is double click that. It'll jump back here, change it back to NC. And it's going to be doing that for things like your math, your formatting of dates, things like that. Just kind of watching over you. Spelling will be part of this as well. Just kind of watching over and making sure that you're entering things correctly. But before you actually send your report, you're going to want to click on this validate button. And what that's going to do is that is going to take your entire report, send it really quickly over to the GSE servers, and it's going to get validated against all of their rules. It's their API. Once it's done that, it's going to kick back and it'll tell you where there's any errors, so that you can fix them now, and you've got a really good report that the GSEs have already approved of before you actually go sending it in. So you don't get embarrassed and you're like, hey, you forgot something, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. We're going to be checking the same stuff that the GSEs are checking for. So everything they're checking for, we're going to be checking for as well for you. I think that's mostly what I've got for you. One of the things I do encourage you guys to do is I want you guys to actually try this out for yourself. Okay. So if you go to our website, it's real simple, sfrep.com, this is what you see. And you may have seen it right there, 6 months for free. I'll go over that here in a second, how that works. But essentially, we're going to give you our software completely free, no strings attached for 6 months. You don't even have to give us a credit card. All you have to do, you come to this page, you click on free demo, download it to your desktop, run the install. It'll put an icon on your desktop that looks just like this. Here's Appraise It Pro. On the first run, when you actually run the software, it will pop up a registration window. You click on Get Demo, fill out a couple of pieces of information, and bam, you've got the fully functional, not crippled in any way, fully functional version of Appraiser Pro free for 6 months. We do that because we know a lot of people are under contracts. We don't do contracts, but a lot of people, I know ACI and Alamo do contracts. So when you're 6 months out from your contract renewal date, give us a try. That way you've got some overlap time to be able to go back and forth. The way that we license our software, we license it to the individual signing appraiser. So if you've got 2 appraisers working for you, but you've got like 4 people that help you do appraisals in some way, maybe they're trainees, no charge. Only those 2 people who are signing appraisals are actually going to be charged. And it's as little as $49 per month per appraiser. We don't do contracts, we do monthly. But most people coming over to us, they select the $99 plan, which gives you everything that you need. We're not going to be charging extra for the new UAD 3.6. It's just available to you. We're not going to be charging you by appraisal report. You buy Appraise It Pro and you're on our subscription plan. Everybody gets the same tech support. Everybody gets to talk to me the same way. It's everybody's on an equal playing field. You get a free website with the platinum plan, which is the $99 free professionally designed website. We don't charge you for the domain. We don't charge you for setting it up. We just charge you monthly once it's ready to go. And that's going to give you all of your other kind of ancillary stuff, your flood mapping, your street mapping, everything's included in that $99 a month fee. If you get 5 months down the road and you decide it's not for you, then we'll shake hands virtually and we'll send you on your way. No hard feelings, and you don't owe us anything. So no contracts at all. The last thing I want to do is I want to give you some addresses and phone numbers. So software for real estate professionals, you can call us at 800-523-0872. We have an amazing sales and customer service team, most of them down in the upstate of South Carolina. Be ready for that Southern hospitality and that Southern accent, but they're some great people down there. I love them to death. And we all meet usually for Christmas and have a Christmas party. And that's kind of the only time we get to see each other during the year, but I love seeing them. They're a hoot. Beta at sfrep.com really doesn't apply anymore. So I'm going to say, don't even worry about writing that down, but that's where people were having to send an email to get the preview before September 8th. Now it's available to everyone. Training.sfrep.com. That's our website to go to. That's kind of my website. So you can get our training calendar and you can see all of the webinars that we have coming up. I do the webinars once a week for on various topics. And we record them all. You can go to our YouTube channel, which is that last link there, youtube.com/SFREP, to see all of our pre-produced videos and our live webinars. If you click on live, you'll see all the live webinars. I think the direct link is youtube.com/SFREP/streams if you really like typing all that in. But you can see all of our previous webinars that we do where we show everything off. That's all I got, really. I think, Bill, if you guys, or if you've been collecting any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Yeah, so we do have a few questions here, and I'll be sure to touch on those. And I want everybody to know, look, I have a few questions myself, but more importantly, want to make sure we get to and answer your questions. So please either use the chat feature or the Q&A button in Teams. Click on that, send us your questions. And we'd love to touch on those. Matt, I thank you for going through this. And I mean, look, like you, I'm friends with with all the providers, right? And I know them well, and I've had several on. But it is obvious you're a little further along in the process with what you've shown and demonstrated today. And it looks impressive. So as we kind of gather maybe a few more questions here, I had a couple I was wanting to touch on.
Sure. And for
You
everyone, just so it's clear, I am not an appraiser. However, I have a soft spot for appraisers. Also, I probably know more about appraising than I ever wanted to, but I will tell you where when I've reached my limits, and I'm the kind of person where I'll give you my email address, have you fire off that question to me, and I will get an answer for you. So
There you
put that
go.
out there.
There you go. You showed the validate, and there's
Mhm.
even a person asking about the GSE API.
Yep.
But the validate button, you said, hey, you ought to come over here and make sure you press on this validate button
Mhm.
before you submit your report. Is that mandatory? Is that a requirement? Are you going to make appraisers do that before they submit their reports, or is it going to
Ye-
be kind of up to them?
No, it's going to be mandatory if you forget to do it there. Before you generate your Mismo XML, it will run that validation for you automatically. Now,
Okay.
it's not required that you have to make the changes that it suggests. That is totally up to you. But because it's checking, for those of you who don't know what an API is, it's an application program interface. What it basically means is we have a direct pipeline into Fannie and Freddie's own servers, and what we do is we send your XML to them, have them do a cursory run through of it, and then they come back and say, hey, this is looking like it's not correct. And then we notify you of it. What you do from there is up to you. We're not in the business of babying anybody. If you are adamant that you're right and they're wrong, then you can send your XML in, and then you can take it up with them and you guys can go back and forth. But we're not going to prevent you from sending your XML in. We're just going to run the check, let you know what the results are, and then you can take it from there.
Fair enough. I mean, look, they may be using 3.6 generated report, just may not necessarily being delivered to the agencies, right? So, I guess there's a possibility. There are some use cases to where maybe
and
that
and
wouldn't
and this
apply.
only applies to GSE reports.
Correct.
If you're filling out some Wells Fargo form, it's gonna do its validation on certain things, but in no way is it gonna force anything upon you. And a lot of people ask us with our non-lender forms, is this going to be part of the non-lending? For right now, our non-lending forms are still based on the old 1004, the old URAR and the old 2055, etc. Those are going to stay the same. We are
Hmm.
going to release eventually dynamic versions of those non-lender forms, but we'll keep the old versions as well, and you can choose which one you want to use.
Yeah, no, to kind of piggyback onto the API question, Alexandru, I think it's we have here, has a great question that kind of tags on to that. It's really not one that I even thought of, which is really it's a really great question. If the GSE API is down, will the appraiser be stuck or frozen or I guess essentially not unable to be delivered?
That is an excellent question, actually. Um, I don't know. I can tell you in the past the way we've handled this. Like there's a I don't think it does it in the UAD 3.6 right now, but over here there is a little selection for some of their services, I think. Yeah, it's ghosted out right now because it's not supported. But there's a get census tract. This is a simple little service. You click on the button, it looks at your address, and what it does is it sends it over to I think FEMA, one of the government servers, grabs that information and sends it back. But we are always thinking ahead, and we don't want to crash or strand a user. So let's say if that service is down, it's just going to give you an error message and say, "Hey, the service is down right now. You can try again later."
Yeah,
And it's like I said, it's not going to prevent you from being able to send the report, but it's something that you're going to want to pay attention to. And if that service is down, God forbid, I mean, it's going to be mission critical. So I got to think that Fannie and Freddie are going to have it on a server that they're going to have backups of. But if that were to happen, or if your internet were to be down, it's not going to prevent you from. It's not going to freeze the program or anything like that. It'll just error out.
right, right. Okay. And let's see, we've got a few more questions here from Alexandru. Can you save common responses?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The way that works, let me see
You kind
here.
of showed that with the city,
hmm
right?
Yeah,
You
so
even
but
had
you
the
can do it for
F1 or
right, you
okay.
can do it for multiple fields. I don't know if there's any but I could do like put a whole sentence in there. Come up here to manage responses. I can give that a title. I'm not going to assign an F key. I'm just going to click save, click close. And now you'll notice right here, it says sentence up there. So
Yeah.
now when I'm up here, I'm selecting things. I come down here, I can just double click there, and there's my common response.
Excellent. And then you already mentioned your mobile application, right? I mean, is that I think is also going through some modifications. Am I
Mm-hmm.
right? Or okay.
We are working with a very well stupid NDAs. I think I can say we're working with because it's common knowledge at this point. We're working with Apex, who they know how to do sketching, and sketching is the hardest part of a mobile app. Like I don't care what anybody says. After sketching, collecting data is just text boxes and check boxes, like easy stuff. Doing a sketch is super hard, and they have knocked it out of the park. They already have released that aspect of it. It's called Apex Portal. Well, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be expanding Apex Portal so that it will do data collection and photo management. Eventually, it will also do scan to sketch. I've seen early betas or early test versions of the scan to sketch, and it works really well.
Hmm.
That's probably going to come more in spring, but we will hopefully be, I think, around Halloween or so is what we're really shooting for to have that mobile
Yeah.
app. In addition to that, we're the only company that I know of, because we know that there's a lot of people that are a little bit old school out there. We're also going to be putting out scenario specific checklists that you can print out, put on your clipboard, and take out into the field with you. While I would very much encourage you to use a mobile app because it'll make your life easier, you don't have to. And a lot of people are I've seen classes and stuff saying, no, you have to use a mobile app. No, you don't. However, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier, but you can use a checklist if you want. It's just going to create more work for you because you're going to have to take that back home or back to your office and fill out all that information. But we're going to have checklists that you can print out for, you're going out to a single family home. If you're going out to a town home, whatever, we're going to have those checklists that you can print out and take with you as well. And then we're
Yeah.
also working with a couple of other companies on other mobile apps. So we are very platform agnostic. We will take anybody and everybody. If you want to integrate with us, knock yourselves out. We publish our API. We will help you, and we're doing that with McKenna with their oh boy, their name of their product is just right just left my brain the second I thought about it. But they're gonna be doing a mobile app as well that they have Scan to Sketch already, and we're going to be integrating with them as well. So look for multiple options for a mobile app.
Fantastic. Now, then to just maybe even piggyback onto that, the whole
Mhm.
mobile app. It seems to me like you've been sharing a desktop version of was Appraise It Pro, right?
Yes.
Will there be like a web-based version or something that you can do from mobile as well, or
Eventually, the mobile app will be what is called a progressive web app. I don't want to get too technical, because that makes people's eyeballs roll back in their head. But what a progressive web app is essentially it's a very, very fancy web-based program that can be put onto a device and run as if it was just an app that you downloaded from the App Store.
Mhm.
So our mobile app, you won't actually download it from the App Store. You'll go to a website to install it, and it'll install with an icon on your desktop or on your Springboard or Android phone or iPhone or iPad or whatever it is. It'll actually install there. As a matter of fact, you can run it on a Windows computer, and this is it. This is Apex Portal right now. I can double click on that, and it runs just like an actual application on my computer, and I can interact with it and open things up and do whatever I need to do. This doesn't have the data collection part of it, but I'm running it on an actual Windows desktop.
Mhm.
And so I can open this up, and there's my sketch. So
Yep.
it will look very similar to this if you're on an Android tablet, if you're on an iPad Pro, etc.
Hmm.
Um, and then, when we add scan to sketch, one of the things about using the LiDAR sensor, because Apple products are the only ones that have a LiDAR sensor right now, and that has to be
Hmm.
one of the Pro products, so the iPhone Pro or the iPad Pro. In order to interact with them, you have to have an actual app on the phone. So there'll be a companion app that you'll download, and it'll have the
Right.
scan to sketch and then put it in there for you. But
Right.
it will work on any device, no matter what.
But Appraise It Pro itself
At the
is
moment, yeah, at the moment it is an application. It is
okay.
a it is a Windows application. However,
Windows.
we are the only software provider that supports running our application on a Mac. They have to have Parallels installed on your Mac,
Okay.
but Appraise It Pro is, to my knowledge, the only software out there that has an ARM-based version. And what that means is that the new generation of laptops coming out have ARM-based processors. An ARM-based processor is basically what's in an iPad, what's in your phone, but like a souped-up desktop version of it. And
Hmm.
that's what Apple uses for their M-class processors. So when you run our software in Parallels on a Mac, it's running what's called bare metal. It's running directly on that M-class processor. So it doesn't have to mimic an Intel Pro, Windows-based machine.
Hmm.
So it runs really, really, really well on
Yeah.
an on a Mac. As a matter of fact, our CEO does a lot of he's very hands-on and works with the software, and he runs it on a Mac. Like
Hmm.
that's his computer. So,
Yeah, because that was
but
one of the
but
questions that Kristen had there was whether or not it would be able to be run on a Mac.
yeah, and we fully
Um,
support that. Like our tech
yeah,
support will help you with that.
we'll help
But
you
to
with
go
that.
back to
Good.
what you were asking, Bill, web-based version gonna come eventually.
Okay.
We got to get this done first.
Yeah.
This is taking all of our bandwidth. But the way that we wrote Appraise It Pro back in 2019, 2020 was that we will be able to use about 60 to 70% of this code in making a web-based version. So it'll be pretty easy for us to take Appraise It Pro, port it over to the web. There's just some other stuff that we'll have to do
Hmm.
surrounding that, but we'll be able to use a lot of that, reuse a lot of that code.
All right. Well, look, we're at about time flies, right? When we're having fun here. Thank you everybody for sticking around. Matt, I want to give you the last word here. Is there anything else you want to share with anybody before we go? Or
I just want to remind everybody, 6 months free, no credit card required, no strings attached, no contracts. Try it out. If you don't like it, no harm, no foul. My number is on the screen along with my email address. Feel free to contact me. And then if you want to talk to our sales office, maybe you got a really big company and you want to talk, volume discounts or anything like that, 800-523-0872 would love to talk to you guys, and feel free to text me. I'll text you back almost anytime, even at night. I live this stuff, so
all right, all right. Well, again, thank you for meeting with us and going through SFREP. And I'm sure everybody on the call thanks you as well. Again, if anybody that's listening, this is going to be on NAN's website, available later so that you can watch it if there's anything you kind of scratch your head and wonder, oh, what did they say there, or what about this? And then obviously you can contact Matt by phone or text as well. Thank you everyone for being here, and you all have a great day.